That's it?
That is one big pile of shit.
Peacemaker. What a joke.
I cannot think of the last time I was this let down by a returning TV show season. To keep it short and simple, Peacemaker Season 2 is utterly disappointing, dull, boring, and underwhelming. Nearly every character is straight up annoying and unlikable. Motivations are nowhere to be found, ad-libbing all over the place, no cohesive structure, and frankly just forgettable. All of this is funny and sad because this is supposed to set up the whole future of where the DCU is going, and well, after this season, yeah.
And I'm sitting there like going, what?
I don't know where to begin, honestly. I want to give a good explanation as to what happened in this season, but that's the thing. Nothing fucking happens. The whole season was a bunch of characters sitting around being bummed out and depressed, always talking about their feelings, and occasionally doing things to further what they call the plot around. I actually skipped 2 episodes this season. I think it was episodes 4 and 5, and I gotta say, I didn't miss anything. I just watched the recap of episode 5 and went, okay then, and watched episode 6 and understood everything completely. There were 8 episodes this season that were roughly around 35 to 40 minutes each, with the exception being the finale that was almost an hour, and most of that runtime is filler nonsense. You could have easily trimmed down this season into a clean, slick hour-and-a-half movie. We worked the script, keeping the most important moments, taking out all the excess bullshit, and you would be left with a great condensed movie that could have pushed your universe along. The main thing we were looking forward to was the eventual confrontation between Peacemaker and Rick Flag Sr., played by Frank Grillo, who appeared in both Creature Commandos and Superman. Rick Flag Sr. is the head of Argus, the government agency in the DCU, and is gunning for Peacemaker since he killed his son in the Suicide Squad. That was the one thing we were anticipating, and they dropped the ball in my opinion. They spent literally half the season just casing out Peacemaker's house while he's either in another dimension or crying about how lonely he is. Things eventually came to a head in episode 5 where Flag finally confronts Peacemaker, and while it is somewhat nice to see Flag get his revenge for a bit, the whole thing feels slightly underwhelming. We've been building for this moment and it seems it gets resolved in just one episode. Give me a break. I like Frank Grillo a lot, but I don't know what to think of his character yet. It's funny because he's supposed to be the same Rick Flag that was in Creature Commandos and Superman, but he acts like a totally different person here. I know Gunn said the same actors who voice the characters in animation will portray them in live action, which could work if they act the same in both. It seems they're setting Flag up as the Nick Fury type character of the DCU, but it feels like they're rushing it a bit. Flag spends half the season gunning for Peacemaker, then in the last episode out of nowhere, he wants to imprison all the metahumans on the planet Salvation they found using Peacemaker's interdimensional portal thingy. It just feels out of left field for him to change his motivation so quickly without the proper build-up. He literally changes his mind during the last episode and all of a sudden hates metahumans, even though he's sleeping with one. Albeit, I don't blame him for that one bit, man.
That's a bad bitch. You say, put that strap on. Fuck me.
Release the scissor cut. One thing that Gunn teased leading up to the release of Season 2 was that we were going to see other dimensions and cameos throughout the season. For cameos, we literally got only one, and that was Lex Luthor in Episode 6. Just like Flag, Luthor appeared in another DCU project prior, which was Superman. It was cool to see him, but again, it didn't really mean anything for the most part. For other dimensions, we got a few, mainly during the last episode where we saw about 3 or 4 new ones the team was, rushing to investigate. The main other new dimension we spend the most amount of time in is the one where Peacemaker goes to early on in the season. While there, he encounters his alternate self, kills him, takes his persona pretending to be him in the new universe. There he finds out his brother and father are alive and they actually are a family unit who love each other and fight together. That part of the show was genuinely good in my opinion. I really like seeing that. He also finds that dimension's Harcourt, who acts completely different from his universe's version. She acts more feminine and ladylike, like a woman should, which is not what Peacemaker is used to. She's usually the badass chick, always getting into fights with men twice her size. All the scenes involving the alternate universe are actually good. It was cool to see Peacemaker's brother and father acting friendly and loving, since in his universe he killed his brother when he was young and his father was abusive to him because of it. It was genuinely nice to see Peacemaker finally find his place and be around people who show him love without being bitchy and backstabby like in the normal universe. In the normal DCU, all the characters are just assholes. They're so unlikable, especially Harcourt. She's a total bitch who always walks around with a chip on her shoulder, getting into fights and not being able to show emotions. We get it, James. She's your wife. You want to make her look cool and all, but this ain't it. It was nice to see Joel Kinnaman back as Rick Flag in one episode. I really like him as an actor. It was funny to see him act like a complete dork in this universe, since in the old universe, which I guess was the DCEU, I think it was called, he was a military badass, so it was kind of nice to change it up, but again, you had to make the man weak. Really, James? The main plot twist that happens in the show during those episodes is that we find out that the dimension Peacemaker stumbles into happens to be Earth X, which is a real dimension in the comics. Earth X is an alternate history dimension where the bad guys from World War II won instead of America. I can't say the name on YouTube, but we all know who we're talking about. The scene leading up to the reveal shows the DCU's universe's Harcourt finding Peacemaker and convincing him to come back, and while walking out of the building she says, "Have you noticed there's no people of color in this universe?" Then Peacemaker looks down and sees an American flag on a desk, but instead of the 50 stars on the blue part, it shows the symbol for the German 1930s bad guys. We then get this incredible scene, which has to be one of the funniest things I have ever seen.
What got out? I'm black!
What?
Really? Is this scene supposed to be scary and taken seriously? Because I don't see a way it can be. The whole premise and build up to this scene was supposed to be like a horror movie like build up, but it just comes across as lazy and hysterical. This leads into the title of this video, that being James Gunn Hates White America. This is how Gunn views suburban America, or flyover states if you want to call them. In both seasons of Peacemaker, and even a bit in Superman, he always portrays Middle America as low IQ hicks who are racist, blah blah whatever. The same shit we've been dealing with for almost a decade now. The whole West Coast liberal elites hates white people and almost never portrays them in a good light. They actually think this scene is an accurate portrayal of what will happen if they go to suburban America as a minority. After this scene, we get Danielle. Sorry I don't remember the character's name because it's so, long and forgettable. I'm just going to go by the actress's name. We get her running away, which, let's be honest, she ain't outrunning them. We see her jumping fences. That's a jump cut, by the way. And falling into a pool. Again. You think she's done for, but then Judah Master, oh yeah, he's in here too, but nobody cares, comes in and saves the day by pulling her out of the water and electrocuting all the bad white people.
Fucking racist.
Thank you.
The next scene, which then leads to the two of them talking and Danielle dropping this bombshell.
Sad part is, I'm not so sure this Nazi world is as different from our own world as we wish it was.
Damn straight.
Bitch, please.
Wow, how brave and amazing James Gunn is for putting this out at a time like now. Fuck you. Like I mentioned in my last video, we are tired of the white people bad, everything is 1930s Germany trope. The last moments in this dimension is that Peacemaker finally reveals to his brother and father that he's from an alternate universe, killed this universe's version of him, took his place, and now wants to go back. The scene is surprisingly touching given the context and the actors' performances, but sadly it's undercut by the sudden death of Peacemaker's father, who was stabbed to death by Vigilante. His father explains that while he doesn't agree with what's going on, he is just trying to do good and fix the system. It's an emotional scene and you think, wait, maybe his dad is a good guy and this will all lead to something good. But no, Vigilante breaks through the window and kills him by stabbing him in the neck repeatedly. I'm not mad at his father dying, I just don't like how rushed it felt. It didn't feel earned, it just happened suddenly. Seems to be the pattern with this show. Another thing wrong with this season is that Peacemaker didn't get to be Peacemaker. He's hardly in his uniform at all. He only wears it in like 2 episodes. He wears it in the first episode briefly, and then wears a slightly modified version of the suit while he's in the Earth X dimension. He also doesn't really have any fight scenes. The one big fight scene he has is in episode 3 where he fights a gang of terrorists, and he doesn't even wear his uniform. He wears tight leathery pants. What the hell is this? Nobody wants to see this shit. We want men to be men and fight like men. None of this sissy feminine men bullshit. He's not even in the finale that much. Maybe 40% if that. How can the title character not even be in the finale of their own damn show that much? Oh, and get this. Peacemaker doesn't even think of the plan to stop the bad guys in the finale. Of course, this show being made by modern Hollywood, of course it has to be the 3 main badass women who have to get together and save the day. They don't need no man. Fuck off. Release the scissor cut. I'm sorry I'm going all over the place in different directions. I was pissed when I wrote this, so I'm just reading what I wrote the next day. This whole season is just frustrating as hell. I'm leaving out so much, but honestly, you're not missing much, so it doesn't matter either way. Gunn spent the months leading up to this, hyping up all the cameos and how the finale is going to change the DCU going forward, and nothing happened. I'm not mad at Gunn for misleading the hype. If there's no cameos, that's fine. Still make the payoff worth it though. Don't just outright lie. He spent months building cameo hype and we got fucking nothing. It gets even more confusing when you factor in how Peacemaker was technically in the Snyderverse in the Suicide Squad, since there were characters in that movie who appeared in Snyder's universe, but now just Peacemaker's canon, I guess. We still haven't gotten a clear reason as to what's canon and what's not. They even changed the ending of Season 1 by replacing the Snyder Justice League with the new Justice Gang that was in Superman. Here's what they should have done. Leave Peacemaker and the rest of the characters that appeared in both the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker Season 1, let them be set in the Snyderverse, move Peacemaker Season 2 before Creature Commandos and Superman, and have that as the launching point for the new DCU. Season 2 could have been Rick Flag Sr. going after Peacemaker for killing his son, and some other things happen, maybe still keep the drama that Peacemaker is dealing with his friends and / team, yada yada, being broken up, whatever. And then maybe Peacemaker finds a portal to another dimension, goes into it, and that's the brand new DC universe. Boom. Perfect. Could have been simple. Then you could have had Creature Commanders and Superman after Peacemaker Season 2 set in the new DC universe. You could even keep some of the same actors such as Grillo and the Task Force X squad just to explain, hey, it's a different universe, some are the same, some are different, it is what it is. It would have been a nice clean way to explain to the audience that this is a different universe from the previous movies, and we're going in a different direction going forward. You could do some cool stuff like maybe later on in the movie timeline, it's revealed that Peacemaker is from another universe and he has to go back to the old universe for something, and you could have had the new Gunn DCU and the Snyderverse do this big epic Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. That would have been cool. I just don't know what to think about the new DC universe going forward under Gunn's direction. Say what you will about the Snyder movies, I happen to love them, I know no one else does, but I like all 3 of them. The one thing you can say is, at least he made them feel big, mythical, otherworldly. Come on. In the last one, in his 4-hour Justice League movie, we literally went from Darkseid gearing up to fight the Justice League to now this. Shit. Snyder's movies are fucking Shakespeare compared to what we got now. Luckily, I'm not alone in thinking this. If you look online at the reactions to the Season 2 finale, almost nobody's liking it. The consensus is everybody was just like this after it aired.
That's it?
Here's a couple reactions underneath a video I watched about the ending of the finale. Kind of a weak season compared to 1. The finale was super lackluster. I left that shit feeling like, what the fuck, biggest waste of time and energy. I couldn't have done all that in 15 minutes, we didn't need an hour. I absolutely agree. A very finale making the whole Season 2 arc useless. Yep. Man, how can anyone defend James Gunn? He let his love of music and jokes completely ruin so much potential. Man, this episode really was a joke. Absolutely agree. Well, the gun jammed. That's pretty good. Constantly saying that this is supposed to lead into Superman 2, then ending it like this was a choice. Yep. Worst episode of the season. Really disappointed that I sacrificed my sleep for this. 3 weeks straight of 30-minute episodes just to get a garbage cliffhanger at episode 8 is dirty work. Yeah, so you can obviously get the consensus is nobody liked it, which I don't blame him. Glad to know I'm not the only one who's disappointed with the finale. Peacemaker was the third DC Universe project overall, and the third directed/created by James Gunn, who wrote all of Creature Commandos and wrote and directed Superman. 3 projects in it, and I gotta say, I'm extremely burned out over Gunn's style. He has this juvenile teenage boy edgelord humor that doesn't work for a majority of superheroes, especially Superman. There's literally a scene in this season about a dude talking about how he loves jerking it to corn on the internet. Yes, I'm not kidding. Every scene in Peacemaker is undercut by jokes, not just one, literally a full-page dialogue of characters saying unfunny, out-of-place jokes at each other, which we all know was ad-lib. There's no way it wasn't. I'm also tired of all this animal love. I get Gunn loves animals and all, but you can calm down just a bit. Vigilante brings up animal facts all the time at random times, which makes no sense and gets old very quick. There's so many musical segues in this show, and it gets old fast. The biggest thing is the out-of-place humor like I mentioned earlier. For something like Peacemaker, I think it could work since it worked in the Suicide Squad in Season 1, but it does not work with characters like Superman, which that movie was just bad. And I like how they have to admit it lost money now, which is something we all knew. That's a main problem I see going forward with all these characters interweaving between all these different shows and films. I don't see the humor fitting at all across all of them. What I mean by that is Superman was rated PG-13, for example, which is typical for your summer blockbuster, while Peacemaker had a TVMA or R rating if it were a movie. Because of this, they were able to get away with saying things that they wouldn't normally get to do in a PG-13 movie. In Peacemaker, Luthor talks about what he sees going on while he's in prison, and I don't know if I can say the words here on YouTube, but let's just say he explicitly describes what men are doing to each other in prison behind closed doors. You all know what I mean. It was just weird seeing the differences in tone and language from Superman to this. It feels out of place like I mentioned earlier. Superman was a lighthearted, almost family-friendly movie where characters like Luthor acted one way, and while in Peacemaker, which is a more violent adult show, Luthor is acting totally different. Is it just because the characters take the day off saying bad words or something? I don't fucking know. Let's not even begin to dive into the whole Superman being family-friendly and then hyping up Peacemaker Season 2 as the next installment and literally putting in a nude bisexual orgy in the first episode. Real smart, Gunn. Real smart for thinking of the kids on this one. One slightly good possible shining light is next year we got 3 projects and none of them were written and or directed by Gunn. Sure, he had some oversight given he's the studio president and he read the scripts to make sure they were good and all that, but he wasn't actively involved day to day. The first project coming up is Lanterns, which I'm cautiously excited for because for one, Gunn's not heavily involved, and so far it sounds good, I want to say, hopefully, fingers crossed. We have Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre as Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart as a pair of lanterns who land on Earth to solve a mystery. Good casting on both of them, by the way. The tone is said to be a slight noir vibe, much like True Detective. Nathan Fillion will return as Guy Garner from Superman, which will be interesting to see him interact with Hal and Jon. That's really the only one I'm looking forward to. Supergirl sounds okay-ish. Gunn recently described it as a Guardians type feel, which again, we're so over. Momoa as Lobo is cool, I guess, but that's really the only thing I can say about that movie. Clayface is the last one and is said to be a David Cronenberg type body horror movie, which sounds intriguing. I'm pretty sure this is also set in the Elseworlds category, along with Matt Reeves' Batman, and not an official entry in the DC universe. We also have Man of Tomorrow, or Superman 2 in 2027, and let's just not talk about that right now. I just don't know what to expect going forward for the DC universe. The next few projects seem okay as of right now, but that could change. I think we all just need a break from Gunn's style for a moment. We've had 3 back-to-back projects and I'm totally burned out. Peacemaker is supposedly important going forward, having been stuck on the planet Salvation. How that ties into the larger DCU, we have to wait and see. One thing I can say is that this show is a complete travesty, and if it were up to me, I believe Gunn needs to rethink what he wants to do going forward. His style and humor is not going to work for this long term. Every character in this show has the complexity and brain development of a child. Gunn writes to his audience as if they were children, which makes sense if you go on Twitter and look at the people defending this show. The big final emotional scene in the final episode is just the characters talking to Peacemaker about how all you need is love.
When I'm around you, I feel loved. You're big and you're stupid, but I know you love me. And I don't know if I can say that about anybody else in this world.
Wow.
Yeah, that acting is fooling no one. So yeah, this was my long, extremely, incoherent, rant, but I'll just finish by saying this. If this is the overall tone for the DC universe going forward, every single DC fan should be worried.